Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Mr. Nirmal K. Minda, Chairman and Managing Director at Minda Industries, joining in. Welcome to the show, Mr. Minda.
नमस्कार नमस्कार जी
Right, absolutely. My first question coming to you over here is that, overall, the kind of impact that we've seen with regards to COVID-19 has been immense. And it's not only with a particular sector or particular company, it's across sectors, across economies. I think no one has been left untouched on the back of, COVID-19. What is your assessment of the virus impacting the economy first?
Oh, I think and we have nobody of us has an experience in the past. I think it is a highest impact. 2008 was an economic impact. I would say this is unbelievable. And then we were shocked when it was decided in the month of March, 22nd of March, and then prolonged for the April, May, and all that. So practically no production in the automotive segment. All were shut down. And to restart also, it takes some time, in the auto segment. It is not so easy to shut down and start our industry because we are a part of total ecosystem, and ecosystem to establish it takes time. So, but all of us were very alert, I would say, to handle these situations. We had a lot of interaction in our auto segment. I'm being the past president of ECMA. We had many seminar, many awareness session in the industry, communication with the OEM, how to do, what to do, and everybody made their sensitive analysis. The kind
Correct.
of the very heavily cost reduction on the fixed cost, on the
Mhm.
variable, what can we do, electricity, and I think everybody tried to make the kind of different scenario of,
Correct.
let's say, to achieve the break even. So I would say, some of the industries have cut down the salaries and wages and all that, but in our case, we haven't done any wage cut and all that even from the beginning. And
Right.
that's a we are
Right.
still passing, we are still on that phase. I would not say we are fully
Over.
recovered.
Absolutely agree with you, on that. So overall, what's the kind of impact you're seeing on the sector as a whole right now?
You would know that, we in the auto sector in the 1920 itself was down with
Absolutely.
respect to 1819 by around average of around 15%.
Hmm.
And so that we started in the October 18 was the recession started in our industry.
Hmm.
So 1920 was down. 2021 we were hoping to come back to 1819 level. But with this pandemic, we would say that somewhere originally we were estimating an average of 50%, but recently the signs are much better. I
Hmm.
would say the industry should end somewhere around average around 80% of the 1920.
Right.
An average, because 3 months have gone,
Correct.
That's why I am averaging.
Absolutely. Right. So, Mr. Minda, with this, as you mentioned as well, FY21 as a year, I think majority of the sectors or industry experts that we speak to are of the opinion that this year, I think none of us are even looking at or even thinking that, what's the quantum of profitability we should look at or what's the quantum of growth. Our main idea in FY21 is that at any cost we should break even, and it's a fair ask as well given the current situation. And I think everyone should understand that. So do you think that's something that Minda is also looking at?
Yeah. We have made a scenario, I would say, at a different scenario of PBDT break even, I would say EBITDA break even, PBDT break even, and PBT break even.
Hmm.
So our challenge, and we are sure that because we have done enough cost reduction in our group, and we should be able to, somewhere we have a huge depreciation, like, in our different plant and the new plant which are being set up, such as sensors,
Hmm.
alloy wheels, and then the alloy wheels of two-wheelers. So these plants have huge depreciation. So
Hmm.
thereby, the PBT break even might be difficult at 50, 60, 70%
Hmm.
top line. But on an average, somewhere we are doing better. In some of the product line, as you know, we have 20 different odd product line. So it is a differently, but as a group level, we should be named. First is to conserve cash,
Absolutely.
and not to utilize the more bank limit
Hmm. Hmm. I mean,
of
that's a fair
how to
point.
how to how to take out the money from the inventories,
Hmm.
reduce cost, working capitals, our overdue debtors wherever we are requesting our OEMs to prepay a little faster for this particular of time, and OEMs are also very supportive. So I
Correct.
think in Minda we will be able to manage our cash flow with this kind of situation.
Right. And that's a perfect thing that you've said. You've hit the nail on the head on this one. So when are you expecting, normalcy returning? Because now things have started to open up slowly, steadily. So for this auto sector, when do you see it coming back to pre-COVID levels?
I think very difficult. You must answer. When do we expect to end our pandemic and COVID? And the sustainability is a question mark. But I think we are watching now on an every month and next month situation. We are not depending and we are not increasing our expenses, looking that we will come to the normally soon.
Hmm.
Industry people, we all see that with this good sign which have started coming now by Q4 after festive season, I would say things should be sustainable. We should come back normal, but that is a very difficult question to answer. And I hope our COVID situation also should get normal by that time.
By that time. Correct. And currently if we were seeing the June auto sales numbers that have come in as well, they look far better than what happened in the month of March, April, or even in the month of May. And slowly, steadily, when we've been talking to a lot of OEMs, the indication, Mr. Minda, we are getting is that the order book from the OEMs itself has been strengthening on a monthly basis, which somewhere is a positive sign. But do you think this is only a pent up demand that we are seeing right now? Or do you think this demand is going to be here to stay and every month we will keep adding up?
I would say this whenever I discuss with any OEMs in the market, particularly in the marketing, the top management, the signs are about to sustain. It is step by step growing will happen. But again, as you know, that some of the major cities there are still a lockdown, like Delhi,
Correct.
particularly the deeper market. You are Bombay and then Ahmedabad, Chennai. So the metro cities are still not opened up, or there some of them are opening three times a day in a week. So the demand is mainly from the rural sector as of now.
Absolutely.
So everybody is quite hopeful, and we look at China. So China, in the month of June, they have achieved around 1.68 million vehicles, which is 6.5% lesser than last year on the
Mm.
year-on-year basis. So I think we should also have the similar kind of sustainability. But the key point is, how do we open up?
Correct.
Like, you must have recently heard that in Aurangabad, Aurangabad was locked down again.
Mm.
The two-wheeler industry, Bajaj was again requested by the government to lock down.
Okay.
But
Correct.
these kind of problems keep on,
I know there's a
being
constant switch
interesting.
off and switch on that's happening right now because no one has any certainty. I mean, the government is also in a catch 22 situation. Corporates are in a catch 22 situation with their employees. So I think that cycle constantly goes on. And I think all of us will have to learn to deal with it and find solutions out of it. So with
But
this,
one thing, I'm sorry,
yeah.
one thing is very, very, very important in our auto sector, whether it is auto component and auto, we
Mhm.
don't want to compromise on, the health and safety at all.
Correct. Correct.
That is because we are not looking at, okay, production, we need to regain our market share, profitability, because all that we can be managed, but health and safety is the foremost importance
Or
for
most
us.
important thing.
Sorry for the
Absolutely.
interruption.
No, that's fine. But that's a good thing that you've said as well because there are companies who have been running saying that okay, we have to get back to normal. But yeah, this is not the time because once you lose on healthcare, there's nothing to look back to. But if you've lost sales, at least in the first half of the financial year, there is a possibility that you could be seeing some bit of recovery that could be happening in the second half of the financial year. So do you think for the auto industry also, you will be able to make up for the lost business of the first half in the second half? Or do you think that's going to be difficult?
I'm very optimistic. As you know, our per capita car, per capita two-wheeler, we are far behind,
Far behind.
with the China level. So it is only a temporary phase. You may call it 6 months, you may call it 1 year, but definitely we are going to, manufacture about 5 million two-wheeler and, 10 million cars by 2030.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I would say maybe 1 year or 2 years is down because of so many reasons, as we all know. Previously, it was NBFC financing, so many new regulations,
Hmm.
euphoria of the EV, all those, uh, disturbed the markets in the past in 1920. But I am quite optimistic, we will be able to catch up even in the second half or maximum in the quarter four.
Right. And overall as well, going ahead, if you could just help us understand, do you think Minda will be able to actually capture the void that could be created due to the anti-China rhetoric? Because a lot of industries, especially on the manufacturing side, are the ones who are expected to gain on the back of the anti-China rhetoric. Again, automobiles is one, OEMs, I mean, the spare part industry is something which could be gaining as well. The electronics sector as a whole is something which could be gaining. So, do you think Minda is all ready for that?
Yeah, you are right, very right. I think good question. Uh, there are, like, say, there are a couple of components are imported by the component industries, such as semiconductors, motors, and all. And there are many components are imported by the vehicle makers. So as a component maker, we have good opportunity for, uh, you know, localization of those parts. In fact, many OEMs have started asking us to, to find out
Hmm.
we started in fact asking them to give us a list of components, what are you importing and all. And then we have started interacting with them and find out an opportunity. And alloy wheel is one such of them. You know, the,
Correct.
the government is also now planning to put some anti-dumping duty or, some enhancing the custom duty, etc. So with that, I think we'll have a good opportunity. And on the other part also, we will have a good opportunity. For the component what we are importing, we have already started de-risking those components either from Taiwan or Korea or Japan and all that. And also localization, electronic components, semiconductor and all that is a big game because the investments are huge, about $3 to $4 billion, huge investment. But I'm sure with the Indian government, now started giving supporting subsidies and all that in this sector. So we will also come up with that
Right.
to localize.
Right. So, Mr. Minda, are you trying to say in the next 3 to 5 years, we will see good amount of investments that could be happening in the sector, and Minda will be a part of that investment strategy as well with regards expansion, may it be backward integration as well?
Yeah. We have 5 domains all in the group. We today have 20,000 people working. We have plants in Indonesia, Vietnam, Spain, and a design center, technology center in Germany. So
Hmm.
we have a very clear roadmap for our growth of our different product line. And many, you must have seen that many new product we have added in the last two to three
Correct.
years
Correct.
and because of the new regulations have come and new opportunities have arrived.
Hmm.
So, and our always target is to get more than 30 to 35% market in India at first, and
Correct.
then parallelly look at the export opportunity wherever there are. So, with the kind of some target market segment of our of the Europe and ASEAN, and then we are on our road a path of a regular, and in the future, you know, I would say, as and when the opportunity arrives, with the OEMs first, we are always there.
Right. Mr. Minda, you mentioned about exports as well. How is the situation with peers? I mean, with your counterparts, you are doing business in Europe as well as in ASEAN countries and other regions as well. What is the situation looking like from the auto sector perspective in the other regions?
See, in the beginning, I would say March, April, even some part of May, we were doing good, very good, as usual in our Indonesia and Vietnam side. But the effect started coming, from May onward. And now again, it is Vietnam. There is no disturbance. Vietnam have fully covered it all. But in Indonesia, by this July end, we will cover everything. As far as the European market is concerned, I would say we are already there around 70% plus. As you know, India also, we are now uh, reaching from 50% to 80%, I would say 50% in the
Right.
passenger car and 80% in the two-wheeler. So Europe also, we are catching up around 70 to 80% by end of July.
Right. And that's a good thing as well in terms of de-risking in terms of geographies. Another advantage, Mr. Minda, I see that for Minda Industries as a company is the different segments of business that you're present in the auto ancillary space. That's something that probably gives you an advantage as well amongst the peers. Do you think that's a great de-risking strategy that you have right now, and which is actually paying you off returns right now in times of COVID? Because what's happening is a particular industry focused on a couple of few products, and if there is no demand, there is a major pressure. But for you, taking the kind of exposure you have to different components, different parts, you think that's a great strategy right now, which is helping you in times of COVID?
Yeah, I think it is a good de-risking plan. So we have a de-risking plan of the customer side also, because of our topmost customers. Say you can look at Maruti,
Mm,
who our dependence on them is something around 25%. Of course, they are enjoying 50% market share. So
correct.
we have a mix up of our portfolio, of a product portfolio and the customer portfolio.
Mm,
So you will see that then the next second best is the Toyota and Honda two-wheeler, Bajaj, TVS. So the customer wise also we have a mix up of customer, and the product portfolio also, you can say our highest sale of the terms of switches, which is around 35% of our total revenue. 35, between 35 to 40%, it varies. So that way also, we are, and the newer product will take the better pie, share of the pie.
right. So from here on, for Minda Industries, what's the kind of change that we could expect in terms of the client-wise and the product-wise revenue mix?
I would say the client wise, there is not going to be major this one, because we are already there as far as the PV and two-wheeler segment in a big way. As far as the commercial vehicle segment, we have set up a new division now. We were not very, aggressive player there. So we have set up a new division to serve them and trying to focus them, creating an organization rather, and to focus them. So that may, will give us more advantage, not only here, but also for export, commercial vehicle and off-road. For example, John Deere
Mm.
and, this JCB, etc. They will give us better business in the future. And Polaris is one of them. And so this was,
Correct. This was in terms of where clients go, and in terms of the different segments of business as well. Do you see the revenue mix changing?
yeah, revenue mix will continue to change, because I'll tell you why. But the newer product, the market share we are yet to absorb.
Okay,
So
correct.
newer product means we'll get little better share, but does not mean that we will lose a market share on our bread and butter.
Correct, correct.
So we will try to hold that. At the same time, the newer will increase. So pie will is continually changing year on year,
Yeah,
but not
yeah.
so drastically.
Right. And Mr. Minda, with regards to the different segments of business that RICO is present in current times, which segments do you think are going to be the growth drivers from here on?
I would say in the car, as we all know, in this particular year, I think segment for the car A and B segment, the lower end car will grow. Two-wheeler, I think, continue to grow. That's our as you said, that as I mentioned, that is already reaching around 80% level of
Mm.
production pre-COVID. And CV, I would say it might take some more time, the commercial vehicles. So maybe by end of after festive season, it should take up. And off-road is already doing very well. They have already reached 100% level.
Right. And very lastly, Mr. Minda, if you have to look at FY21 as a year and 22, I know, I mean, this question is something which no one is even thinking of because everyone is taking every month by month situation into consideration. But what's the kind of growth you are seeing, which could be the bare minimum growth Minda could achieve in FY21? And then what's the kind of bounce you're expecting in FY22?
See, we have already been, you must have seen our data. We have already been doing better than the industry growth
Absolutely.
with the addition of our kit value, increasing the kit value in the vehicle by some, merger and acquisition of, let's say, our joint venture, new addition of the product. So always, the industry, when it was down last year by 15%, so we were down only by 8%.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, I would say that we will your answer to your question is, let's say, it is very difficult to predict my growth.
I know.
So I can only say that, we will be better than the industry average always.
Correct.
Because of our effort and our increase of our kit value and our different avenues like off-road CV and all that, addition of electronic parts, telematics additions, controller divisions, sensor, and our Harita additions. So all those things, we will be much better than the industry and market share. This is our main aim. As far as the bottom line is concerned, this year we are really wanting to, achieve the break even, maybe at the 60-70% level, I would say. PBT break even, cash break even, and this year that is our first goal. But if the industry is okay, we will, target our normal EBITDA a little better.
Correct. Right, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Mr. Minda. Thank you for joining in. I hope you enjoyed the discussion as well.
Thank you
we
very
will
much.
come back to you as well once again when things improve and all of us are back to office and working happily from here on.
Best wishes. Stay safe, stay healthy. All the best wishes. Thank you for.
Thanks.